everyone. My name is Felicia and I'm the owner of Feli's Nigerian Kitchen. I want to invite you all with your family to come for the GVN King of the Grill on the 30th of May. We'll be there with Nigerian style grilled. We'll have the grilled fish and bolek, which is grilled fish and plantain, and chicken, pork. Everything will be seasoned in Nigerian way. We'll have the spicy and the non-spicy, and of course we'll have a goosey soup and fufu. So come out that day and have fun. It will be at Monroe Field on the 30th of May. See you there, 1 p.m.
Fire up the coals, bring the flavor. It's time to crown the King of the Grill. Maggie King of the Grill 2026 is calling you. Think you got the creativity, the skills, and the fire to rule the grill? This is the ultimate showdown for chefs, backyard masters, and the food lovers alike. Step up, show your talent, and claim your spot among the best. With over $5,000 in cash and prizes to be won, the stakes has never been hotter. Happening Saturday, May the 30th. Register now. Call or WhatsApp 407-8458. But hurry, registration close April the 30th. Don't wait. Bring your fire, bring your flavor, and bring your A game. Maggie, King of the Grill 2026, where champions are made on the grill. Special good morning to our listeners. Good morning to our viewers. Welcome to another edition of To The Point. It's Thursday, the 14th day of May 2026. Good morning to those of you via our social media platforms. Good morning to you. Welcome. It's To The Point. I'm your host, GT. Let me say good morning to, of course, members from the PD Task Force with me this morning. Didn't get to get the names, so of course I'm going to let the officers introduce themselves. And as we get into the conversation this morning, gentlemen, good morning and welcome.
Good morning to you.
All right, so we probably get some names, so we get this kicked off.
So pleasant good morning first. Pleasant good morning. My name is Rondell Philip, Police Constable 350, attached to the Western Division, supervising the Northern District Pre-Elasticity team.
Okay.
My name is Godfrey Hostin, attached to the Western Division, supervising the Western Division team. For the past, let me say, 2 years.
Okay. All right. This officer is a regular on the program. So.
Pleasant good morning, GT, and pleasant good morning to the listening public. My name is Gavin Colville, police officer attached to the St. David's Division in charge of the Southern District.
All right. So as mentioned in the intro, we're talking pretty elasticity. It's one of the concerns you hear from time to time. There's probably the local name that folks will call it. People go and take your thing, or people go and steal your stuff, especially if you're a farmer or some other sort. So it has a level of concern. And we're talking pretty elasticity. So let's kick it off the conversation by, I'm not sure who's going to take up the mantle with it this morning, by hitting us that explanation. Explain to the listening and viewing public this morning. What is pretty elasticity, per se? Who's going to take that up this one? What is pretty elasticity?
Right. Pretty elasticity in general is the stealing of agricultural produce.
Yeah.
Right? If I could go into a little more in depth, is the actual detachment of a fruit, a tree, in its natural growing reality. So in sense, that is telling you pick a mango, it is pretty elasticity. Right. You pick an orange, it is pretty elasticity. You uproot a tree, or All right.
Once somebody has some individual farmer who may not be a farmer, but in somebody's personal property, you enter. There's a mango in the tree. You didn't ask permission. I'm assuming that under those circumstances, it's considered pretty elasticity.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
And we also have what you have going hand in hand, pretty elasticity and what you call vagrancy. As Mr. Colville always say, persons might think they hear the word vagrancy and think it's vagrant. No. Vagrancy is entering the property of the owner without their consent.
All right, interesting. I never thought about it in that particular way before, because you always have the notion when you hear vagrancy, you're thinking, well, it's someone who is, a little bit, should I say a little bit, but someone who's probably not mentally sound. Okay. And you may think about it in that particular mind. So it's considered vagrancy if you enter somebody's property without their permission.
Right. Anybody could commit that offense.
Yeah.
Anyone could commit an offense like that, because once you step from the main and you go into somebody's property, you commit vagrancy.
All right, so that is vagrancy.
Thank you.
Once you step in.
And you see what can happen in that instance. Somebody enter a farmland, right? And for some reason they got disturbed, and they didn't actually have time still, but they can be still charged for vagrancy.
Yeah. Once you enter that person's farmland without the consent of the owner,
and with intent to steal, in the sense.
Intent to steal.
Yeah.
All right. Now, let's get. How concerning is that for the task force in general? How concerning is that? And how has it been affecting farmers and so in general, individual just getting into their property and taking whatever doesn't belong to them? How concerning is that?
It's very concerning to the task force throughout the Tri-Island state of Grenada, because you have some serious implication behind just stepping in somebody's property and removing something. You could remove something and kill a whole nation. If you understand what I'm saying. Nobody's saying to poison or nothing, but you can tell the intention that a man, and the kind of rich farmers have these days in the property, young fellas stepping in with cutlass and ordering them to leave the property and so on, So we have a serious situation at hand, and it may get more serious in the future, although we are doing certain things to counter-attack it by trying to ask the farmers to be each other keeper, bringing back the farm watch meetings, all them things they do, try to combat and give the farmers the assurance that they should continue working, because a lot of them is losing zeal through what is transpiring presently. So it's a very serious thing, GT.
All right.
To step in somebody's property and remove something, you could suck a mango and you die.
It's true. It's true. What are some of the plans for the task force in terms of curbing this problem? What are some of the main serious plans you have in terms of not only the conversation you may have with farmers, in telling them ways in which they could, have this stopped in a particular way? They may not be able to stop it entirely, but what are some of the plans that the task force has in terms of curbing this, getting a downward trend towards what's happening?
Well, I would say from the task force point of view, we intend to increase on a number of stuff. Our farm visit, our patrol, our intelligence driven, and also educating the public.
Yeah.
Because you see, in our time when we grew up as youth, we used to just go and suck mango, suck orange in someone's farm, and that was not an issue.
Didn't see it as a problem.
Right, but not now.
Yeah.
You understand? So we must educate the youth from at least from the kinder level, kindergarten level, and let them know they cannot just enter somebody's property and pick any produce and consume it. It is an offense. It is wrong. They should ask.
In the day-to-day engagements that you will have with farmers, what are some of the main concerns that they express in reference to pre-deal lasting?
Well, having day-to-day interaction with farmers, some of the concern is that, farmers go into the farm, like, for example, this morning a farmer may visit his farm, like, let's say 4:35 in the morning, and he may wet his plants or produce and stuff like that, and maybe harvest some of the produce that may be in the garden, and knowing that he leaves certain produce in the garden and returning next day and is missing. So farmers is faced with some of those problems, and it's a tremendous problem that farmers been faced with on shore the Tri-Island state, and from my end, I know I do my best with my officers to curb some of those problems, which we had cracked down on some of those issues, and persons had been brought before the court and stuff like that. So these are some of the problems and challenges that farmers are faced with.
Have you been seeing some, of course, deterrent some individual doing that, knowing now that there's a task force especially set up to deal with this particular situation? Have we seen a deterrent some individual wanting to do that, or it's still escalating to a point?
In my view, some of it has slowed down a little bit, to the extent of the produce and stuff being still in my. The quantum is not the excessive that it used to be. Maybe man might take a 2 breadfruit not a bag as before.
Okay.
You know, so the unit is outside there, and I think persons got the message that in every district there is a unit, so it's kind of a little bit minimize the stealing a little bit. But on the other hand, there is some things that comes within the stealing fall under predatory larceny, which is livestock, stealing of livestock, that is animals. So this is a problem that, okay, the produce might minimize a little bit, but the livestock kind of step up.
Those are the ones that step up a bit. But we want to get into the livestock part of it because I still want to keep it on the part where folks, individuals going and disturbing farmers of their produce. Now, what are some of the challenges farmers are facing, especially when it comes to that? In terms of when I say farmers are experiencing, and there's also where it comes with the USD officers within the predatory larceny task force are experiencing the most. What are some of those challenges farmers are experiencing?
Well, one of the main challenges farmers are experiencing is the judicial system, the court system.
Yes.
A lot of farmers will lose in their property, and they will rather to take compensation than go to court.
Okay.
Right? So that is one of the challenges that they face with, because the majority of times a farmer lose. Right? And he say he want a warning. The offenders will repeat.
Yeah.
Because a warning is nothing. $2 is nothing for them. They pay that money and they go back and thief in the same farmer's property and pay. Right? That's some of the challenges they face with. Right? Weather condition is basically, but again, some of them just suffer with water and so on to produce the type of produce they want. So the little yield they get, they just really try to protect it. Besides that, the pest and other rodents and so on. They're faced with a lot of issues besides that. When coming to the law enforcement, we try our best to assist them.
Okay.
Because that's the only little courage I believe they have present.
What would you like to advise farmers in terms of a way of deterring individuals from wanting to do that? What are some of the deterring factors you would like to offer to farmers in terms of advice?
Right. In terms of farmers, the pattern that the farmers operate on the farm, right? Because, okay, for example, I would use that, you have your farmland and you leave, let's say, 6 o'clock to go to your farm every single day. But remember, the persons who steal, the thief, they study your pattern.
Yeah. So my pattern is
right. So I would advise farmers to vary the pattern. And when produce is close to harvest, they should be, letting the task force know, letting the neighbors know. I understand. So everybody will look over each other. It will be another brother keeper, right? And also reporting to the police as soon as possible.
Okay.
Because you see, sometimes we do what we call little patrol in terms of village walkthrough, or even when at the station level when they do community walkthrough, you will hear complaints that we never heard before. Yeah. You understand? And it's because they are not reporting on time. Because predatory larceny, most of the is perishable produce. Mm-hmm. So if you take too long to report an incident, that matter may just go down the drain. So I'm encouraging farmers to report as soon as possible, and with the speedy response of the task force, it will deter persons from entering the property or intend to steal.
All right. How would you say that the predatory larceny task force has become more beneficial to farmers? No. As it stands now, in terms of the division and the upgrades that has happened, do you think it's more beneficial to farmers now than it's been before?
Yes, I think it's had a tremendous impact on the farmers now. They feel a little bit more comfortable and relaxing, maybe going back to farming, because a lot of farmers had detour from, lose interest in farming before because of what was happening. The task force wasn't up and running as effective as now. We know the amount of officers in different districts and stuff. So farmers had, some of them had forget about farming, and now I know from my end a lot of farmers get back into the farming because the task force is there and they feel a little bit more comfortable and relaxed in doing so.
All right. To be due for a break, let's take it when we come back. We continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks. To the Point Classic Radio, GBN TV. We will be right back after the break. Don't touch it out.
Home is easy as 1, 2, 3.
Thinking about your new home? Thinking
easy. Think a Republic Bank Home Easy Loan. Think affordable. Think convenience. Think Republic.
Home is easy as 1, 2, 3. Republic makes home easy.
Wow, that was such a breeze.
Own your home with ease.
So whether laying that first brick or purchasing an existing home, we've got you covered. Republic Bank will get you those keys hassle-free in no time.
Home is easy as 1, 2, 3.
Apply for a Home Easy Loan today for a chance to win a cash prize. Getting your new home is easy with Republic Bank.
Republic Bank. We're the one for you.
Terms and conditions apply.
At 5 p.m. on August 5th, 1944, the schooner Island Queen sailed out of the St. George's Harbor. On board were some of Grenada's brightest and best sons and daughters. What happened afterwards remains a mystery.
Where Island Queen gone?
Heritage Theatre Company presents Lucy's Straw Hat, a full-length drama written and directed by Chris DeRiggs, a moving story about a family caught up in the drama of this great mystery. Meet Mammy Sylvie, a woman with a secret too heavy to keep but too painful to reveal.
I'm asking for forgiveness for not telling you the truth.
Pa John, the war veteran.
Sometimes I sit here feeling so helpless, so crushed.
Lucy's Straw Hat at Grenada Trade Center on Saturday 13th and Sunday 14th June, and at Deluxe Cinema on Saturday 20th and Sunday 21st June. Advance tickets $60, $75 at the door. Come join us.
Where Island Queen gone?
The Ministry of Agriculture White Potato Production Initiative is an OECS sub-regional project aimed at reducing Grenada's reliance on imported white potatoes, which in 2025 had an imported value of over 4.5 million EC dollars. The White Potato Production Initiative is part of the Ministry of Agriculture's food security drive and is being undertaken with the simultaneous cultivation of other crops such as sweet potatoes, pineapples, coconuts, carrots, and other vegetables. Other OECS countries like Dominica and St. Vincent and the Grenadines are already at an advanced stage in white potato production, with Dominica completely cutting the import of white potatoes during the first quarter of 2026. Grenada is now preparing to advance production for better output in 2027. The Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Forestry, ensuring food and nutrition security for all.
Welcome back to our listeners. Welcome back, viewers. Once again, it's To The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV, and we do have members of the Pretty Alasani Task Force with us this morning. And we talk, our conversation is centered around Pretty Alasani. That's our focus conversation this morning. Officers, welcome back. I want us to focus a wee bit to the laws, and in relation to these offenses, especially when they come to Pretty. I want to still stick on the fact where the loss of farmers. What does the loss speaks in relation to that, especially when it comes from the enforcement procedures of this, Pretty Alasani in particular?
Well, the laws speaks about you can be fined as well as you can be get imprisonment for a couple of months or years under the act.
All right. So it's basically just fine and confined.
Yes.
You'll be fine and confined.
Yes.
Now, when that occurs, a farmer reports that his produce has been stolen. The Pretty Alasani force is contacted.
Yes.
All right. I guess that's where the process starts. You've been contacted. You visit the farm. I'm assuming a report is taken from the farmer.
Based on the action.
Or statement per se.
Yes.
Is taken from the farmer. He gives an idea of what has been taken. Where does it lead? Where does it go from there?
Well, an investigation needs to be carried out into that into the process of the report that is being made. Yeah. And based on the investigation and our finding, if there is a suspect and we see based on the evidence, if there is sufficient evidence to prefer a charge against that suspect, then we will do so. The matter will be taken to court.
All right.
And
so
we'll do it from there.
All right. An individual, I try to understand the whole procedure still. An individual is found with a produce belonging to a farmer. You as you said, someone is suspected.
Yes.
You go to that individual. You said, well, Mr. X said I lost 10 pounds of potatoes. or bags of potatoes. I was just use that as of course just a way of getting through. How is that process handled from that stage?
All right,
meeting that
if I should give you a little more clarification.
Yes, I will certainly like to hear that.
Right. It's different type of offences fall under the pre-larceny. So this type of offence you're speaking about that is it's called unlawful possession.
All right.
Right. So you did have it in your possession, and you can give the police a proper explanation as to how you come of it. And the only way the police gonna know that is when we do the investigation, as Mr. Colville rightly said. Yeah. So in any report come to the station, what we normally do, right? We respond to that report.
Yeah.
Right. And we advise the farmer from there, whether it's to come into the station. Well, he must come in to give a report, give something official.
That's what we're going to know. Starts for stats.
Thank you. So we're going to take a statement from him, a written statement.
Yeah.
Right. And we're going to investigate that statement, right? With the little evidence that we had, what we saw, because evidence firsthand is very important in these perishable goods. It's perishable goods we are dealing with.
Yes.
Right. So the main thing is that, so you have different offences. So you have vagrancy, you have pre-deal larceny. Pre-deal larceny is the farmer see the person on the land and they can't run out. They hold them with the bag there. Like pre-deal larceny. They saw them there. So you will get charged for pre-deal larceny and vagrancy. Because the farmer saw you there. Now, the Virgin way on the road, you meet a man with a fine bag, I put it two, we should say. Right? And you ask him where you get that. You won't tell the way you get it at the police.
Yeah.
You go lie. So you are the police to bring him in the back of the vehicle, any transport you have now, and go back and investigate him. Because he must have some lands that he come out in.
That's true.
And the law clearly says
perform some receipt that show that he made a purchase.
Thank you very much. And that is a form of what we're working with, receipt books and so on. They don't have that, we go investigate. You have a receipt book, investigation cut.
All right. You want to add anything to that?
And I just want to add a little. You see, sometimes some of the produce that been stolen, some of the farmers know the produce. They can identify it if they see it elsewhere.
Okay.
Right? So sometimes the farmer may not see the individual on that day, but he lost produce.
Yeah.
Now, we the officers out, we have a duty to investigate, and for some reason we might encounter somebody within the area at the said time with produce. We have a right to question them thoroughly as to where they get it from. Sometimes we do end up back to the same farmer who actually missed, and when you do your comparison on evidence, it match up fitting the description of what was stolen.
Okay.
So we can forward a charge. Now when we forward that charge, and that matter go to court. Based on the law, the magistrate, he's having his or her powers that once the person proved guilty on a summary conviction not exceeding a fine of $10,000, or a prison sentence not exceeding 5 years. So that is for the offense of pre-larceny, dishonesty receiving, unlawful possession. You understand? That is a fine.
But knowing of that hefty fine, $10,000, could go to prison for a lengthy period of time. Is that is that some form of deterrent from it? Are we seeing folks deterred from it because of knowing there's such a hefty fine and prison time to come with it?
Yes, it does. But you have what you call repeated offenders, and there are persons do a crime and rather to just go to the jail and sit down. So for those that won't create, but for somebody first time and they hit into the offense and they hit that, it will deter them. Next time I don't think they will just look to conduct that break the law by stealing.
All right.
The majority of the time we see the pre-larceny offenders is repeated offenders. It's one set of man that committing these pre-larceny offenses, especially by me.
Yeah.
They go to jail, pre-larceny cease. They come back out the start. So it's a pattern something for some areas. But in me, I am on the west side, right?
Okay.
And the same set of pre-larceny offenders that are started within 2004. It is the same set of offenders that are dealing with today.
But is there a procedure of monitoring those individuals? Is there a procedure where the force has an option of knowing that Mr. R or Mr. Y is someone who's always committing those offenses?
Yeah, we keep records and data and so on. They want to farm, we monitor them by keeping records and data and so on them. And normally we hold them very easy because, you know, it's goods they selling. It's not something that they could hide. We must work with it.
How concerning is it for the force or individual who purchase these stolen items from these individuals who go about doing that? How concerning is that for you?
A charge can be brought against that person who purchased produce from that person, knowing that person does not have any property and purchase goods. A charge can be brought against that person for dishonestly receiving.
Is it the responsibility of the task force, say, to go down to the various markets, maybe a Friday or Saturday, and look at folks who are selling produce, knowing, well, GT doesn't own a farm, but for some reason I'm selling cabbage, I'm selling tomatoes, and question them in relation to is it the responsibility of the task force to do that?
Yes, we do, usually that is something we usually call vendors check and market check. So we usually do those things every weekend. You know, I from my district, St. David's does not have a market, so I usually do vendors check, roadside vending. You know, so I know Sotes and Guav markets are there, so from their end they usually do that. But my end is only vendors check because we don't have a stationary marketplace for vendors.
But has it been revealing a lot of results in relation to that?
Yes, because from the time the task force had came in effect into St. David's last year, I started doing vendors check, and persons understand and knowing. And who was not in the know, they know that once they purchasing goes over 15 pounds, that they must have a receipt. Okay. You know, and we also urge the farmers as well to purchase a receipt book. So when you sell goods to a vendor, if the vendor herself does not have a receipt book, then you can give them that receipt. And we also urge the vendor as well, when you're going to purchase, if the farmer does not have a receipt book, you can give him a receipt. You know, so you go on both ways, you know. So then you can show on your receipt that I had purchased 15 pounds or 25 pounds of spice from John Brown at a cost of $1 per pound. Right. So that could show, and we can track back and go and say, okay, yes, Mr. Brown, did you sell, you know? And this have a way of kind of, you know, just narrowing down on some of the issues and problems that we've been faced with.
If I should say the market check is very effective on the west side. Yes. And I could tell you from experience, because when the task force fall in the market in the morning time, no farmer want to have a receipt book. No farmer want to have illegal produce in the because why? It hinder the sales. Yes. When we attack them in the market and we damage them, I use the word damage. Right? I just use that. You're being very blunt in your wording. Okay, so we think that they just feel bad because nobody want to buy from them anymore. You know, and that is a serious message we will be sending. Okay. Because I see it happen enough time, and if same vendor come back to me and say, you could have talked to me otherwise, you could have talked to me and you would before I come here, not in the market here, because the market is a place where people do business. And
but what he's doing, I think what he's doing is wrong, right?
Thank you very much.
What he's doing is wrong.
And you're coming and do the wrong business here, you know? So we just deal with it very serious. All right.
What about your division?
From the Northern District, the market patrol and vendors check is very effective. You see, what we try to do when we do those patrol, again, educate the vendors. We are failing to, upon visit of the police, the pre-larceny unit, and they do have a receipt, they can be charged for what you call memorandum of sales and delivery. Okay. You understand? So we have to educate them and let them know what is expected of them. You understand? So in short, once you know somebody go to the market, a thief go to the market to sell produce, and the pre-larceny presence is there, you will notice, because he will start acting in a manner that, you know, and try to deter the police to divert them elsewhere. And the patrol in the market is very, very important. And at our level, we try to do it at least every week. You understand? And the many time, you know, you kind of lapse on it is because the vendors intend to stray. So we have to be on top of them.
All right. Okay, folks are getting smarter in terms of how they do things these days. Folks, you mentioned folks coming to the market to sell, but individuals committing these crimes may visit that farmer or individual or persons who do sell these produce. They may not be coming to them in the market and sell anymore. They be coming to them in their private property, their homes and stuff, knowing, well, GT doesn't sell in the market, so I'm going to visit GT and tell them I have 15 pounds of tomatoes or whatever. But it's still wrong for me to make that purchase from that individual, knowing that that individual may not have obtained that in a legal way.
And you see, again, the market patrol and the vendor check is very important for the task force, because when we do questions the vendors and they say they purchase from John James, we have the right to go to John James farm and see he can provide what they are telling us. Okay. You understand? So it's always make our work better.
All right. And that is done randomly and not any specific time?
No, randomly.
All right. So you may see us this Saturday, but you may not come this Saturday and feel everything is all right. But you may be back on Monday. All right. I want us to talk a wee bit about the livestock. And that is also a concern. We spend a whole lot of time speaking about, the farmers produce, especially to their crops that they grow and that they're losing. Livestock. How concerning is that also for the Period Larceny Task Force? Are we seeing a rise in that in Grenada, or is it not such as a serious problem as when farmers lose their produce?
Well, we have seen a rise in stealing of livestock. He was there before, but he had gotten out of hand, for the past couple of years, I may say. And I think now that the task force came into effect more effectively now, I think it's kind of have a little deterrent, although it's still there, but it's not as heavy as what it was before. And we usually find those stealing of livestock happen around festive season.
Yes.
Coming towards Easter, then the Muslims usually have the Ramadan, and the Indians usually have the festival and stuff like that. They sacrifice, so they usually buy sheep and goat, even cow as well. So around those times, Carnival, Christmas coming on there, you find stealing of livestock, and persons sometimes usually want to make a cook, and they may say, okay, boy, are we looking for like a ram sheep? And a man might hear that on the block, and he might just go and steal a sheep from Philip or a goat, and what persons doesn't understand. Mr. Philip is a livestock farmer, and Mr. Philip may give animals medication.
Yeah.
And I always say, GT, I come on the radio from time to time, and I always reiterate again, persons have to be very mindful of who they buy animals from and where they buy meat from as well, because there is a medicine they call ivermectin, and once that animal is being given that medication, it can be detrimental to. It can pass out a whole neighborhood, a whole school, let me say, because that medication have to stay in that animal and wear out before 6 months time you can use that animal. So persons have to be mindful of who they purchase animals from, and these are the kind of things we've been faced with presently. Officers on the west, even as to far St. Patrick's, have been faced with those kind of challenges, persons renting vehicles and make sure you have heard that a vehicle was intercepted a couple of months ago with an animal in the trunk of it. So those kind of things we've been faced with presently where livestock is concerned.
In terms of the types of animals that are usually stolen in Grenada, what are those types of animals you see more prevalent have been stolen a whole lot?
Well, I would say basically more from our end is goats. Yeah, they do steal cattle as well, but more the goat. I don't know, for some reason. I guess maybe the mutton is more.
I say mutton expensive.
Yeah. So yeah. Right. But again, I should say this, right? We are on the stealing of livestock, right? But some of the farmers, they need to pay more attention to their farm, to the livestock farm.
Is it because they're leaving it loosely or move around the farm?
They leave some loose, and they leave some in areas that are very dismal and unattended, so that it make it easy for persons to steal. Because sometimes on our patrol at night, we do see animals in areas, and I think farmers could do better.
All right.
You understand? And again, for the farmers, livestock farmers, some of them, you don't have a pen erected in your place, so you normally call what you use like grazing period and tying out. But again, I'm advising all livestock farmers, take photos of your flock.
Okay.
Because for example, if you come to the task force and you report a goat missing, and you may not have tag on it or a special mark, you might just come to the police and say a white goat. There is a lot of white goats out there. But however, when the task force is out on patrol, we may see an animal in an area that call for concern. But if the farmer who make the report have photos and he can send it to the task force if he go missing, we have a responsibility now to distribute that photos island-wide, because there are predator officers island-wide. And for some reason, we might happen to encounter that animal on patrol and he go make our work easy. Right. So I'm asking farmers, take photos of your flock. It will be very...
But is it part of the customs that farmers, especially who deal with livestock, do that in particular? Is it customary for them to do that, or because of the force, the lenient way in terms of we do things here in Grenada? Is it one of the reasons folks are losing their livestock like that? In terms of, the markings, probably photos, is it that encouraging for, it's not encouraged, they're not in, what's the proper way of saying it for you? But is it that some farmers may see that not being important to do that? And or reason why they're losing their livestock in that particular mark? Because if I'm seeing X 20 goats around and they all with no particular tags or marking in them, I could feel I could take one.
It's very easy to lose your animal also, because if you don't have no mark, goat look as goat.
And reporting it now to the task force doesn't necessarily mean because you lose a white goat and Jack has a white goat, it belongs to you.
Thank you very much.
Specific
you need to get it straight. Because Jack has a white goat since you know yourself.
Yeah. But you see, when you take photos, there might be something that might be
identification.
Some form of
you have identification mark. Animal are different type of A's. They are different type of
something that's so distinguished that particular animal that you could say it's yours.
Yeah.
It is. All right. We drew for break. Let's take it. We come back. We continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks, to the Point Classic Radio, GBN TV. We will be right back after the break. Don't touch it out.
Fire up the coals, bring the flavor. It's time to crown the King of the Grill. Maggie King of the Grill 2026 is calling you. Think you got the creativity, the skills, and the fire to rule the grill? This is the ultimate showdown for chefs, backyard masters, and the food lovers alike. Step up, show your talent, and claim your spot among the best. With over $5,000 in cash and prizes to be won, the stakes has never been hotter. Happening Saturday, May the 30th. Register now. Call or WhatsApp 407-8458. But hurry, registration close April the 30th. Don't wait. Bring your fire, bring your flavor, and bring your A-game. Maggie, King of the Grill 2026, where champions are made on the grill.
Hi, I'm Francis Urias Peters, inviting you to join us at the Grenada Trade Center Saturday, May 16 for a grand concert to assist Cuba in the humanitarian crisis. Performances from top poets, drummers, calypsonians, dancers, storytellers, and dramatists. Tickets from Grenadian Optical in St. George's and Spiceland Mall and at the door at $50. Grateful Grenada gives back to Cuba with this grand fundraising concert at the Grenada Trade Center this Saturday, May 16 at 7 p.m. See you there.
Time to open up the door. Who do you trust to lift us higher? The roads to light the fire. To stand for people, not for fame. You know the name.
The Democratic People's Movement is taking it to St. George Southeast, and it's going to be an evening to remember. Join the DPM on Sunday, May 17th at the Marion Playing Field. Gates open at 6:30 in the evening, and for the official candidate launch of a man ready to represent, ready to deliver, ready to lead, Stamford Simon, your next member of parliament for St. George Southeast. Political leader Peter David will be there. All the way from Trinidad and Tobago also, a special guest appearance. Terence Baines joins the platform with Kamala Stephen and sweet steel band music. Stamford Simon, community, commitment, change. Sunday, May 17th, Marion Playing Field, 6:30 o'clock in the evening. Be there. DPM, together we move.
Forward with DPM, and in there we rise again. From the hills to the harbor's end, vote for the people's movement, friend. Forward with DPM, every voice, every now and then.
Grenada, get ready
for the grand finale of the athletic season. The Whitsuntide Games 2026 take over the Kirani James Athletic Stadium on Saturday 23rd and Sunday 24th May from 9 a.m. daily. Witness 2 days of electrifying track and field action as top athletes from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago, Antigua, St. Lucia, Guyana, and more go head-to-head with Grenada's finest. Speed, strength, and regional rivalry once more. All in one place. Admission, finish line, $30. Main stand, $20. VIP, $150 for 1 day and $200 for 2 days. Don't miss the final local athletic meet of the season. Be there for the Whitsuntide Games 2026 as the season ends with a bang.
Welcome back to our listeners. Welcome back to our viewers. It's To The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. Of course, with me this morning, we have the PD Larceny Task Force this morning. We have just, of course, speaking in relation to, PD larceny. We're talking, of course, folks who will go wrong and do that, ways you can curb that problem. We talk about folks, farmers and other individuals who especially deal with livestock, ways you could curb that problem. I want to ask a question in terms of, especially when in reference to livestock. How is that done? From the experience of the task force thus far, what are some of the experiences that are information you're receiving in terms of this process is done, especially folks who are going about doing that? How is it done?
Well, I did some investigation not too long and observed that you have a very serious organized group of guys renting motor vehicle, monitoring people good pen, enter it after hours in the night, remove the people animals, and transport it. Keep it for a couple of days in different hidden areas until they get the right time to sell it. Right? And that is what had us real baffled for a while, because using rentals, I believe the rental keeper should take a little more information from them guys that renting. Because a lot of them guys that renting just get a license a couple weeks ago. I know rental have a policy of you have to don't pay and so on and so forth. In my days of renting vehicle, I don't rent vehicle anymore. So I don't know how the procedure is now. But anybody, the guys I am asking renting vehicle, I don't even believe, the owners ask them questions. Yeah. And it
so folks don't have personal relationship with individuals and somebody and they say, they feel it's okay.
So it's very serious. And GT, as my brother Calvin was saying, you go into this kind of crime that guys is doing is a very serious crime. Because you go into a man pen and he medicate his animals. And that happened recently and had me have to. Well, we got it back within 3 days. Yeah, because I had to work to get it back within 3 days, because if we didn't get it within 3 days, people would have consumed it.
Okay.
Right? And that we did a very good day and night job to get it back this good. And we got it quite in pulse from Woodford. We missed in Woodford, St. John's, and we got it quite in pulse in St. Andrews. Right?
And you see, the butchers out there use that opportunity because, come on, you are getting an animal for not the value. For example, animal worth $1,000 and someone else steal it. They don't care, they steal it, and whatever they get for it, they will take.
Yeah, they just want to dispose of it.
Exactly.
So they decide to take the minimal amount.
I think in going forward, we need to target the butchers and talk to them very seriously, educate them, and also there is a Butcher Act. I think that act should be coming to implementation so that when somebody steal animals and the butcher who receive it, deal with him very severe. So the message will be spread. You understand? So if you have a market you wouldn't steal. So in the sense that, but as how Officer Huston said, them fellas steal and they have it hidden for a while. But when they have it hidden for a while, it's fighting to get market.
Yes.
Most of the times that does happen, right? So I think from the stealing of livestock, I think to me the butchers play a very important part by accepting stolen animals. Right? And also once we encounter that, they will be charged for receiving just as well.
How important it is for individuals, farmers, livestock owners also, who are, in terms of preventative measures? What are some serious preventative measures that they should employ to protect their livestock and the other, of course, property that they find from time to time getting intruded upon that causes them those losses?
One of the criteria that we usually advise farmers to do is to tag the animals.
Yeah.
Which I know in my area, I know of a couple of livestock farmers that have the animal tag. Is a tag to the air. I think a machine that School of Med usually comes and view the animals, and they usually tag them, because majority of the livestock farmers in my area usually have School of Med people, vets come and give their medication, the animals medication and stuff like that. So another thing, once you're on a large scale livestock farmer, one of the things that we advise you to do now, as everybody know, cameras is something that is easy, like a cell phone. So we advise persons now to try to get into the technology by having cameras set up around the perimeter, especially the livestock farm where they're doing the livestock farming. That may help deter some of the the crimes and the stealing of the livestock. So these are two key points that we usually try to reach out there to the farmers to do.
Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would add that from the farmers, don't leave your animals outside. Try to at least erect a pen, and you can take them to that safe place when nighttime comes. I mean, yes, we have instances where persons steal animals during the day, but it's always easier at night. Night might be more lonely. In the day, you might have persons passing more frequently. So I'm asking farmers, don't leave your animal unattended. Try to secure them as best as possible.
And try to keep them in a particular perimeter that could be managed easily also.
Yes.
Not easy access to the persons who come to remove them. Make it kind of difficult when evening comes.
You see, if I may just add to what Mr. Philip would have said, animals could stealing in the day could be easy as well, because someone may pass in and they see a goat tied by the road, and they may just move it to another place to here, whether that person is going to complain later on to say they're missing a goat. And you, is the owner of that goat, may come from work and not even going to check on that goat. And when you do go to check on that goat been missing for 2-3 days because you didn't go to give it no attendance.
Right.
And then at the end of the day, that person realized 3 days they heard nothing about that goat. It disappeared. And we have to look at the Trinidad market, the exporting of mutton into Trinidad as well, because Trinidad is a place that is frequent for roti, curry, so we cannot just look at Trinidad being the animals being stolen here and being killed here and remain here. Some of the animals is being shipped down to Trinidad when they've been stolen and killed as well.
I'm seeing a question from someone via the WhatsApp. They're asking the question in reference to they're asking, how does the task force deal with owners of animals that destroy people's crops? How do you deal with that, per se? If it's part of the procedure that you follow also.
Yeah, well, the law clearly give you the rights as the owner of the crops to firstly speak to the owner of the animal and receive a compensation, or come to an agreement of compensating for that damage, or we take it to court in a civil way, because it's more at a civil nature. So when an animal causes damage to another person's property, is more of a civil nature because they didn't. You see, is the intent. You have to prove that intent that they willfully allow that animal to go there and do that damage, right? Okay. And that is something the police, the task force have a rough thing in taking on. If you have your animal, tie your animals. I mean, because
most times someone would send the animal to do something.
It's very difficult to prove the intent, but if you tie your animal would not go roaming. Yeah. You understand me? And that is one of the main advice we do have for people. But when you see cause damages, then we have you could take compensation for it, or you could take the matter to court civilly and get back compensated for your crops that been lost. You have a procedure. Let me just go a little bit on the procedure.
Sure, go right ahead.
The extension officers must come to check your farm to do a valuation as to the crops that damage on it, right? And then we take it from there. We take something in writing, so then you could take that to go to the court. Okay. All right.
All right. Folks, we have approximately just around 7 minutes or so left on today's program. We give the opportunity to our listeners and viewers out there. If you do have a question or two you want to ask the Pediatric Larceny Task Force in the studio with us with me this morning, 435-2041. You have double options of calling in. You have both the WhatsApp and the direct line. Of course, I beg of you to be brief in your contribution so we can accommodate as much calls as possible. We do have our first caller. Caller live. Good morning. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much indeed, and good words of encouragement to the officers. Officers, pleasant good morning to you all. I'm encouraged by your words this morning. I am a one-foot farmer, and I suppose the St. David police officer should know me by now. I would have a request here, please. I am the owner of 3 acres of land out at Post Royal in the parish of St. Andrew, and I have been having real problems for all of my life in there. To be frank with you, I'll be truthful. There was one officer, Thomas, who was responsible for the Pediatric Larceny squad at one point in time, and we had an interact. And apparently, I would speak the truth. He sold my case away because when we caught the culprit, and the culprit agreed, he did not take a written report and made us sign to it. When I got before my lawyer, well, he asked me for that report, and I didn't have that. And when I went back to him, he also didn't have that. So that's where he sold my case away, because we had caught that person or people red-handed. You know, it was the same Pediatric Larceny squad that was on foot patrol and observed what was happening in my lands, and called me on the phone and reported it to me. And when I went there, I got the Pediatric Larceny squad to go there, and I identified all of my produce that was stolen back then. On the other hand, I had another encounter, but I have 3-4 encounters. One as recent as just 2-3 years ago, 4 years ago, where the culprit were, however, and whatnot, etc. And I do have from the Seton Brown office in Grenville, and that one is $315. But I also have one which is $1,200. But I still have another one which I can't find right now. I mean, my lands, and I've been stoned out of my lands some years ago. I've been threatened. I'm not afraid to say it. Even my own blood-related relatives have done me so much evil in there. They literally discourage me. My request to you all, officer, please, if you all can get some or have some foot patrol, and also in Pedmota, because recently in Pedmota, my blogger stool, they left the tree standing with the navel up, but they on hand, every hand, 8 hands. I'm only sorry that I couldn't come and make a report and whatnot at the time. But because I'm one-footed and I'm down, and people are keeping me down, and people, one-footed and planting my lands over 3-4 years going now. I got one-footed because of burning charcoals. Anyhow, let me give somebody else a chance to speak.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much. Any response to the caller this morning in terms of the complaint?
Well, he said his land is located in Post Royal, St. Andrew's side, but from him speaking of Pedmota, then I will have to pay him a visit and see exactly what he's talking about, because it's the first time I'm hearing about that complaint of you missing blogger, sir. So it's the first time I'm hearing that. So maybe over the weekend, the task force will pay you a visit and get some more clarification on the report that the call that you had just made.
Okay. We do have another caller. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning, you're live.
Yeah, morning, Kitty, morning to your listeners, and morning to the esteemed officers. A number of things came up there out in the conversation, including the export of meat to trade. I was going to raise that, but it's good that the officer raised that. But also, they mentioned the repeat, the people who are caught all the time are basically the same people. That raised a question. What have we been doing as a nation in terms of curtailing that, apart from the reactive response, like, for instance, what the police would do? It seems as though we have a societal problem. Not it seems that we do have. And although we pretend to be Christian and all this and so on, there's a lot of us that are not so honest in this country. If we discourage any form of thieving, ICPD last year, just as they had the illegal drug trade, people don't care what happened to those who are aggrieved or are affected. So we need to help people to understand, no matter what, nobody should be stealing from others. But the problem with our society, once you live in a capitalist, predatory, parasitic society, that would happen. People try to get advantage over one another. We need to build a more humane, more communal, a more cooperative society, more empathetic society, that we will look up each other. The officer talk about the neighbors the farmers telling the neighbors and so on. Is there any neighbors now? Do there any concept of neighbors? We are so individualistic, everybody looking after itself. Finally, there's a lot of things I could talk about. But in terms of the involvement of the farm, of those people that we call farmers or livestock owners, how much of them that are involved? I mean, is there any significant amount, or is there any involvement in them thieving one another, to use a local term, thieving from one another? Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much. Respond to the call in terms of the last contribution that he made.
Well, I cannot say farmers. Well, it happens. I should say it happens. Farmers usually steal from farmers, but at the end of the day, as Officer Houston will say, is proving that is factual. That usually that a farmer steal from a farmer, you have to prove that. So person may say, oh, they missed that, and they may suspect that farmer, but at the end of the day, it's proving that that farmer eventually stole that produce that you're saying that you had been missing in your property.
All right. I just want to say for the caller, the previous caller, where he said that he have one foot and he do come down to give the report. He can dial 911 and based on his location, ask them to put him on to the closest police station to his location and file the report. And once that report comes to the station, we, the task force, will be informed and we will respond to his report.
Okay. We do have another caller. Caller, you're live. WhatsApp, caller, you're live. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Go right ahead with your contribution, please.
Yes, what I'm calling to say is to tell the police officers, well, at least I feel they must be, not a feel, they must be, they know that already. What some of the men those that had a badge or the license or whatever it is, they bind stolen things from those who have no license. They cannot go to Foodland and sell it because they have no license. So what the one with the license have, they bind it from them because they get it at a cheap rate. So this thing could be dangerous because they don't know where they're getting it from. They know definitely, but this man in planting no get. Why you could come and sell me all this? But they're still buying it. So the police should look up into that and deal with them severely when they catch them.
Right.
This is what I have to.
Thank you, caller.
We normally pass through the supermarkets and so on and inform the managers of the supermarkets to be careful how they purchase and who they purchase from. And if they see things like that, they should inform the Predial Task Force immediately, because remember, people's life is at risk. Yeah. And you can't go in a supermarket and sell stolen goods. You should not go in a supermarket and sell stolen goods. All right, thank you.
We do have another caller. I guess we lost that caller there. And it's already 10 a.m. Folks, so you're getting set to wrap today's edition. So we may, of course, wrap up the calling segment this morning. But I'll give you an opportunity. Anything in closing before we take a
I really want to speak something on I want to educate the farmers that lighting fire in the properties. It's a procedure to do that. You need to go to the agriculture. Agriculture come to check your property and they make sure that you could light that fire. And around this season now, you should not light fire because of the dry time and it's very limited water and so on and so forth. It's very difficult to control that fire, right? It's a procedure to get through, as I was saying. You go to the closest agricultural office, they send somebody to check it out, the person check it out, they refer it to the police come to check it, and they give you the permission to light that fire. We have a recent incident happened at Granray where some fire had been light and some property had been burnt, and we don't want that problem to reoccur. So we are begging to the general public to adhere to the rules that govern this serious issue of lighting fire. Thank you very much.
If I fair understand, I think no, of course, permission has been granted lately in reference to lighting fires. I don't think any permission is granted. Anything else before we figure out?
Right, just before we go, I just want again to appeal to the farmers, make your complaints, because we the task force, if you don't complain, we wouldn't know something is happening to you. So we are encouraging you to make the report as soon as possible whenever you notice anything missing or anything damaged in your lands.
Yes, once again, I'd like to extend the same sentiment that Philip would have said. Feel free to reach out to the Peter Department St. David's. Me and my team are willing to assist you in any way possible. You can contact 911, as was said previously. You can also call the St. David's Police Station, or you can reach out to the office at La Sagesse. And once again, before we wrap up GT, I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to the Commissioner and the administrative team for giving us the opportunity to come on this program here this morning to enlighten the public on Pre-Dalasini and some of the laws that's govern Pre-Dalasini. So once again, thank you very much.
All right. I want to say thank you to officers for popping in and sharing the information. I know a lot of folks who may have, of course, having these problems. No one knows where they are. There, of course, there's an avenue for them to get some recourse on this, especially when they come to losing their produce and so forth. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Hey, folks, that's what we take a wrap for today's edition of To The Point. Join me again for another edition. That will be tomorrow. Until then, have a good one. Goodbye.